This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is blood, sweat, and tears. This is the loudest party on earth. This is family and tradition. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The Pennzoil 400 returns March 14 through 16. Get your tickets now.
Yes, indeed, it is here, and it is the wildest party on earth. It certainly is, and it's going to happen all weekend long. The trucks are kicking it off tonight for the EcoSave 201, and tomorrow is the Lvms Xfinity race. And you never know who's going to stop into the studio, and I actually thought it was going to be tomorrow, but he has time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud pleasure to welcome back to our show the 1990 Daytona 500 champion, Mr. Derek Cope. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. It's
How you
pleasure
doing?
to be back.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, we're a little under the weather a little bit, but it's been since Daytona, everybody in our team's been sick, and it's just been passing around. So I've caught the tail end of it, but actually I feel pretty good. So we're a little chilly here than I expected, but ready to go racing.
There you go. How's the team looking, man?
It's come together relatively well. We obviously got off to a pretty good start. The test session at Rockingham went well, and Daytona and Atlanta were very good. We kind of had some issues at Dakota and on into Phoenix, but it's just I think teething pain, for a young small group of people, and we put it together really fast. But I think the continuity is there, it's coming, and we just got to kind of like stop making some small minor mistakes, and we'll be productive.
How did this all come together?
Well, it's kind of stemmed from the Trans Am program that I was doing with my cousin Nick,
Right.
and Thomas, the young driver, the Thomas Annunciata, he wanted to do some Xfinity racing, and we really initially had kind of looked at doing more of the road racing, which is his forte,
Right.
and so one thing led to another. I went ahead and purchased a car for the deal to start with, trying to get this thing kind of aimed. And then one thing led to another. He wanted to escalate to 16 races. And then, one of our friends kind of put us in a position with Leland to bring Leland Honeyman over. So it was able to, elevate itself to a full schedule, which really was not what we anticipated, but we're thankful for.
Unbelievable. Because I a couple of years, we were talking that you started with the Trans Am racing and had Starcom, and then you said, I'm not burning no bridges because you never know, NASCAR could be back in line. And sure enough, 2 years later, yes. And, I just wanted to take a minute, man, through the battles that I've been going through. I was hoping Alicia could give me a clip because I always like it. An inspiration for me every single day was two things every day, no matter what time. Sometimes it was in the morning, sometimes it was in the afternoon, evening, or before I went to bed. But I always played the video clip of you winning the Daytona 500, which was an inspiration to me, and always listen to the song from REO Speedwagon called Keep Pushing. And that's what's really helped me battle through what I've been going through, Derek. And I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
I know. We've been on that emotional ride with you. We obviously were very cognizant of what you've been going through, and where no one's immune to having, things that become troublesome in their lives and obstacles to overcome. And I've certainly been there as well in my life. We've been ups and downs in our racing, and it really is, I hear a lot of things from people, and, it makes me feel good that, maybe my story or, the things that I've gone through were helpful in some manner, for you. And we've known you guys for a long time and think a lot of you, and, we're there pulling for you all the time, so.
We're there. I mean, so far it's been so good. I got one more test coming up on the 27th. And if that passes, then I'll go into remission stage, and we'll go there. Now I just got to figure out how to fix a broken, there's a race car. I got a fractured L5 and S1, and they want to do some crazy surgery on me. And I said, no. So we're waiting on this other thing that's getting ready to happen. So if they get that fixed, I'll feel pretty good after that.
I've been through a lot of crashes, and I can tell you about what bones broken feel like, and, the pain that goes along with over an extended period of time. And it's not pretty, but, the way I look at it is, we're still here, we're still fighting, and that's half the battle.
That's it. I watched you. I love Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Dirty Mo TV and his podcast that he does. And I saw the episode that you were on. And, for all the times I've interviewed you, I never knew this. But you told it out. What happened to Earnhardt's car while you were in second? Can you tell the story? That wasn't it a brake caliber or something that broke on the car and he hit it or whatever?
No, actually, there's supposedly, I mean, and again, there's always, two sides to every story, but supposedly it really was a Bellhausen that came off of Jeff Bonine's car.
Oh, okay.
And that piece was lodged in, I think it was Ricky Rudd's radiator area. And Humpy Wheeler actually made a plaque of it and gave it to me, and called it the culprit. And, but, we run over a lot of that material ourselves as well. And we had a lot of cuts and slits in our tires. And, it was just one of those things where ours didn't go down and his did. But, we had been in a position all day long. And, a lot of people didn't really, if you go back and look at the race, I mean, we only took on new tires one time, and we ran on used tires a lot of times with no tire changes, some 2 tire changes when, Mark Martin tried to do the same thing, really couldn't make the car work. And, we just battled all day, and we were in the top 5 and top 2 a lot of the time. And we were in position. It may not have looked like it at some portions of the race when you're kind of off sequence, but we were waiting for that caution at the end. And certainly, I had used tires and he had new ones, and we were right there on his back bumper and in a position to win. And given the same tire combination at that point there, I feel like I get him.
Yep.
And, but I made the right move at the right time. I'd been running the high line. I went to the bottom committed to the bottom that lap. And when he had the problem, he just masterfully turned the car to the right and saved it. And I drove by. And, if I had ran my normal line, like I had been doing it for the last 10 or 13 laps, we would have wrecked. So, choices, it always comes down to choices and minutes in milliseconds. And it really put us in a position to have something great happen to us, and a very special moment in time.
It certainly was. I mean, and you just celebrated a couple of years ago that win, and and one of the last guys I think who got to do the David Letterman show too, because Dave went off, and that was always a big thing. If you won the Daytona 500, you were flying to New York and you were on Letterman. That was it. I also saw something on it. We never to discuss the crash that you had that was very, very serious. I like Earnhardt Jr. I think what he does is fun. I think he makes it fun, and he holds it back. What about that crash, the big one that you had?
Well, I think, obviously one thing about Dale Jr. is he's very engaged into, the history of the sport, and he, he loves to know things that didn't have any real recollection of, and, but, that crash that you're talking about was one that really, it broke me up, pretty bad. Basically the throttle stuck, and at Richmond, where guys like Jerry Nadeau had head injuries and, has had a lot of misfortune. I was fortunate enough that I just broke bones,
Right.
and the throttle stuck and went head on the fence, and I took the shot, and it instantly broke me up and shattered my shoulder blade in 12 pieces, and broke my sternum, broke my clavicle, broke my leg below the knee, tore anterior cruciate ligament, and I had some vision problems, so, and a concussion.
Right.
But I mean, I think it was 6 weeks later I was at Atlanta, or back in the seat, so it was still a painful deal that I endured a day, and I have a lot of stiffness and soreness, and I probably resemble Nick Nolte in North Dallas, Florida, trying to get up, but we're all there at this age, right?
Every now and then I keep the cane by the bed because Diane doesn't want to see me fall and bust my keister either. So I keep it there. I think we're just getting old, Derek.
I'm very deliberate in what I do these days, whether it's the stairs or getting out of bed or whatever, but it is what it is, but I wouldn't change anything that I've done. I mean, I would certainly maybe look at changing different rides at certain times, or taking or accepting or not accepting, but overall, to make a living doing this at a time when it was dangerous and no soft walls and all the things, I think it really took something to be a race car driver back then.
Yeah.
You had to know that on any given Sunday, for your friends were perishing, and it was something to be a race car driver then. And I wouldn't change anything, and it's been an absolute true gift. And to do something that you have so much passion for and make a living doing it, not a lot of people truly can say that.
That's it. Derek Cope joining us, the 1990 Daytona 500 champion. He's been a guest on this program. He's been a good friend of ours. For most of you who don't know, I met Derek almost 30-some years ago. I was working at a radio station down in Florida, and we gave away a car. Well, he had just joined Bobby Allison and was driving the number 12 Maine, and they brought him up to do a promotional thing. And Derek was the guy that actually gave the car when they unlocked in the trailer, and he brought it out, and it was just such a good time. And we've just kept up, and then the second thing, I always say the two greatest things in my broadcasting history as far as motorsports. One, I got a short track lesson from the great late Dick Trickle at Martinsville. And I was there first assignment. My car ran out of the battery went dead on it. I was waiting for a jump. And you remember how Martinsville was. I mean, Martinsville doesn't have what they have out here. All the parking, you can get in and get out and all the shuttle stuff. It was just the way it was. Well, Dick Trickle stopped in his old 1966 Ford pickup truck, went back and got a set of jumper cables, and we popped down the tailgate. And I don't know how many cigarettes he smoked, and a couple of cold refreshments too.
Yeah.
But he gave me a lesson about what short track racing was. And in fact, Rusty Wallace was on the track, and he goes, "You see how Rusty's coming into the corner?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What we're going to listen for the next lap around is how quick he gets on the gas coming out of the corner. That way, you're going to know if that car's dialed in or not." I'm sure that for Rusty was a rolling and a rolling. The second thing was, if I'm not mistaken, was 4 years ago. 4 to 5 years ago, Derek was running his Xfinity team here. And Diane approached you and said, I said, a dream of mine was always to help work with a race team. And you pulled me into your hauler and you pulled out a shirt. And you said, you don't get to keep this today, but you get to wear it today because you're an honorary member of the Derek Cope race team.
Yep.
And I got to help him push that car out there. And what was so cool is that when we turned the corner, they were doing driver introductions. And what we heard was, and now, starting in his position, the 1990 Daytona 500 champion, Derek Cope, as we were, and the crowd just erupted. And it was one of the best rushes I've ever had in my
I
life.
remember that. Yeah.
It was a good time.
We've had some good times. Absolutely, we have.
Are we still doing the fan experience?
We're obviously, we have been away for, a period of time, and this thing is just in its infancy. So we really haven't got, a pipeline of major sponsorships, and we're starting to revisit folks. We've had some relationships. The drivers have some sponsorships and funding in place already. So it really is in a kind of a working progress, of what we can and can't do. And, these kids, they got a lot, we're just trying to get them acclimated to doing social media and trying to maximize the benefits of what that has to offer. And there's a lot going on. So, right now we're just really trying to, go to the racetrack each week, and that's a chore in itself, right? Because you don't have any days off, and we're a small crew,
right?
We have a very small crew, so the boys are working extremely hard, and we're trying to find the avenues to to try to expand on that a little bit. And so we just gotta forge ahead and keep our nose to the ground, so it doesn't leave a lot of time for much else.
Not to go anything politically wise, racing from when the time it was when you were starting to racing, and now is it getting better, worse? What? Just a personal opinion.
Well, in my opinion, I'm obviously a traditionalist, and I've been in the sport since the 70s, and raced through, the 80s and 90s and on. And, obviously there was an influx of so many people back then. We were averaging right at 200,000 people per event.
Yeah.
And, we don't have those numbers today.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know. I think it was probably the best we've ever seen the sport back then.
Right.
The world's changed, and I think the way you access things, the amount of things that people have to do, it is a different dynamic today, right? And social media is something that we never dealt with. I mean, I didn't even have a cell phone when I won Daytona.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's really changed a lot. It's a lot more focus on what they do both in and out of the race car, and everybody's on display, and it's a lot more difficult for people to navigate these days. And the sport itself, I mean, there's just a lot more to do. So to physically have people coming to the races, I mean, they have their work cut out for them. So I think racing in general is doing very well.
Right.
I think that all forms of motorsports are. It's just the way that we view it is a bit different than what we have and have expected over the years, right? So the optics are just different. So, but I still think racing is great. I mean, I have still the same passion I have for it then as I do now, and just relish the opportunity to still be here.
Big announcement came out this past week that F1 is cleared for Cadillac to go into the series starting next year. Could this possibly open up? I know Andretti at the Detroit Auto Show a couple of years ago, they put a prototype car together, what that Cadillac SR would look like. Are you? I mean, I am one that has been pushing this horse for a long way. I think that they need to open it up. I think they need to let more manufacturers back in. Do you think Cadillac coming and joining the group would be a good thing? I know it would bring Andretti back into the series.
Well, I mean, they're a great organization. I follow all forms of motorsports. Obviously, I love IMSA racing. I mean, I had a TCR car, a year ago and ran that, and it was Starcom,
right?
And they had some success there, and I love the prototypes. I mean, I ran the 24-hour at Daytona in a GTP car, a prototype in the early 90s, and loved it.
Right.
So I've always followed it. and the OEMs being involved, I really believe what IMSA has done with the amount of OEMs getting involved and the following. I mean, anytime you can see Ferrari and Lamborghini and Alpine and all the other groups coming together, it does a lot for global,
Right.
expectations and optics. So I think NASCAR itself being able to find, see Dodge come back in would be fantastic. If Cadillac or, Nissan or even somebody else, Audi or somebody would look at this, I think it would be fantastic because it just opens up more for people to want to, participate, view it and see and root for companies that, maybe they have alliances to. So yeah, I think it's good for everybody.
I said this line earlier, and you and I come from the old school days, man. Winter on Sunday sells cars on Monday, man. And I mean, it really does. And I just think that opening in this up, and you remember the days of going to Martinsville, Bristol, Rockingham, and those places where there'd be 40, 48, 52 cars there to qualify and would have to run a second round on Saturday before they either ran the Busch Grand National or a modified race, a warm-up race there for that track. And there would be 6, 7 teams going home every week.
I can remember in the days that I was racing there in the earlier, the early 90s and the late 80s and the 90s. I mean, I was going to all these racetracks that they went for the first time, right here and Texas. And then, we went to the Brickyard. There was 80 cars that showed up for that race at Brickyard, and only 42 or 3 made it, right? And I was fortunate enough that I made the race as well. But, I think back then, it was a different dynamic. There was a lot of cars showing up. You had to work hard just to get in the race. And there was no gimmies. There was no charter system. There was no, past champions provisional. There was none of that. You basically were there on your merit, and they had maybe a few provisionals for points. But it's changed. And, I think that now, I would like to see more of that, having to go out and perform, and you're only as good as, on your merit. I think it's always been the best for the way the sport has, and obviously it's a lot different now. But that's just how I viewed it. That's why I felt like that. Everybody from across the United States could bring a car there and have a shot to go make the race. And it depended on whether you were ASA champion or you were late Northwest Tour champion or wherever you were from. You came here, you built a car, you came here, and you were able to go out and showcase your potential. And that has changed to some degree, but that's the way I wish it was.
Got Leland in the wheel this weekend or loading off the truck. How do you think you're going to stack just taking it straight off?
Yeah, I'm guardedly optimistic. I think our cars have shown speed from the very first time we got on the racetrack this year with Thomas and/or Leland. Leland's a great talent. I mean, these kids are both 19 years old, and he does have a year under his belt, and he seems to be, pretty comfortable in the car and sit back in the seat and make some good decisions. And I'm hopeful that, he comes out here today and it's cool. So I think the bottom's going to be a place to be. So we'll just have to see what the weather brings and how the car feels to him. But I feel like that he'll run well.
Number 70 be rolling it off. Of course, qualifying, practice, and qualifying. Of course, tomorrow they'll run it. The Lugano 300 tomorrow here at Las Vegas Speedway. And, of course, kicking it in for the big show comes up for you this Sunday, the Wildest Party, presented by Jiffy Lube at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Our special guest, the 1990 Daytona 500 champion and car owner now, Mr. Derek Cope. Real quickly, let's give a shout-out to social media sponsors that have come on board to help your race team.
Well, we've got so many right now. I mean, Leland, obviously, is LH Construction Company, and we have Thomas with Bayshore Mortgage. He's got the Chipoy's brands. There's a bunch of people that are coming on. We had, last week we had Ashurst American Honey there, from Phoenix, our friends there that have been with us in the Cup Series for many years, and Xfinity as well. So we've got a lot of relationships that are looking at revisiting to us and coming back. And so we're hopeful that we can expand on it as we go, but we're thankful that, for the initial investments that they've made in our partnerships.
There we go. Anything else finally? Thanks so much for your time.
We're good. Thanks for having me.
It's always great. Yeah, Rob?
It is.
You got to put up on this one right here.
What?
Yeah, you just walk up and put it right up there to it. There it is. That is it. That's a Daytona 500 ring right there.
Yep. I wear it every day.
Every day?
Every day. I figure I'm gonna get my money's worth out of it.
That one ain't going downtown to the Golden Pond side.
I mean, the way I look at it is, you only got so many days on this earth, and it was such a monumental day in my life and life changing, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to have a reminder of that every day that I put it on, and I lived through that, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, she's a little tarnished right now, but she's
She's 40 years old, ain't
she
it?
represents a great moment in time that my father and I both worked, tirelessly to get ourselves in a position to, and I wear it for him.
There you go. One time you wanted to be a baseball player?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I had aspirations to play baseball and was on that path, and a severe knee injury really thwarted that effort, and it changed my direction. And at that point, my father, I think, was really what I wanted. He wanted me to do, and we just put a plan together. And in 10 years from the moment that I started, I won the Daytona 500.
There you go.
Oh, you did?
Oh, Thomas, it was a great interview. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We told him on air, and we told him on the air that he gets an A++ on his social media and his vocal skills. He did he represented your company very, very well yesterday.
I'm telling you what, we were really pleased with him. I mean, he worked really hard at the social media side. He has a great following for a young man of his age, and I see great things for him from the social standpoint.
And you're bringing him back here in October.
Correct.
There we go. Anything else we can do for you today?
No, not at all. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
I can talk to the Point Apparel. He's in Winston-Salem. I'll get a hold of Alicia, and we'll get you guys taken care of.
Oh, wow.
All
How's the
right.
wife doing?
She's great. Yeah, she's loving life. She's busy. She loves being at the racetrack, like always, right? I think she loves this sport as much as I do, and for her to be here taking care of people and giving them an experience and giving them a personal experience about what it's like to be at the racetrack, she lives for that, and there's none better.
Diane's going to be doing a segment here for ladies, and we're working on one that she really wants to do is Samantha Bush,
Yes.
and of course I think Derek's wife would be, because she's one right there.
She's been in the trenches. Ever since we ever started this deal, she's been in the trenches, and she works her guts out. I mean, she is at every aspect of it.
There you go. The 1990 Daytona 500 champion is here, not as a car driver, as an owner this weekend, and he will have that number 70 up on the track for you tomorrow at the Xfinity Series. Once again, our good friend, Mr. Derek Cope, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you, my friend.
You as well.
More of On Pit Road Racing continues. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, everybody. Next segment coming up. Next in line, coming up at 1:30 this afternoon. Mr. Harrison Burton will join us.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is blood, sweat, and tears. This is the loudest party on earth. This is family and tradition. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The Pennzoil 400 returns March 14th through 16th. Get your tickets now.